Hi, I'm Stuart Winter, the platform architect for Slackware on the ARM platform. And in this episode, I'm going to be walking you through how to build a USB to serial cable for the PineBook Pro. Now, I've already got one from the Pine64 store, which is what I used to do the initial development work for the PineBook Pro, but it has a fault with it where it misses out some of the characters. I don't really know why. I don't know if it's a problem with the cable or a problem with the board. But what I'm going to do in this video is make a new one using this Moyina USB to serial adapter because it's very easy to attach cables to it. So let's begin by looking at what we need to do this. So the first thing that we need here is a 3.5-inch audio jack cable. Now you could build your own, but I'm not going to. I found one in the loft amongst my pile of stuff that I must have cut off of something. I've no idea what. It doesn't really matter. But this one, you can use a headphone cable or a speaker cable or something. This one is a 2-pole connector. You can get 3 ones where you've got 3 black rings, but this one only has 2. 2 is the easiest. It's the one I'm going to use here. But you can also use a 3 one. You just need to make sure you wire it up properly. So I've got the 3.5-inch audio jack cable, and this will be connected into the headphone port on the PineBook Pro. Next thing we need is a soldering iron to fuse the wires together. We need the Moyina USB to serial adapter. On this one, always make sure that it is set to 3 volts, otherwise you will break stuff. The link for where you can buy this from and the model is all inside of the installation guide for the PineBook Pro, which you can find on the arm.slackware.com website. So you can find all that stuff there. We need some wire strippers. We need some DuPont cables. The DuPont cables you can find a link for in the installation guide for the Raspberry Pi, actually. Yeah, if you wanted to get these, look for the installation guide for Slackware on the Raspberry Pi and you'll find where to buy these DuPont cables from. The reason why you want the DuPont cables is because they fit on the pins of this. So that's what we're using that for. And we need some solder, of course, for the soldering iron. And I'm going to be using these, which are these wire wraps. So basically you just insert them over the cable and then you use a heat gun to shrink them down, and it saves you using PVC tape and stuff. It's just a cleaner way of doing it. And we need a multimeter or some kind of circuit continuity tester just to test that the connection we're making actually works. And then finally we need a lighter to to heat the shrink wrap tubing so that it fuses onto reduces down and fuses onto the wires that we're going to be fusing together. The first thing that we need to do is to unscrew the base of the PineBook Pro. Because when you follow the installation guide for Slackware on the PineBook Pro, it tells you to leave it in sound mode because I assume that you want to use sound on your laptop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the base off mine and then I'll show you just flicking it into serial mode. So I'll just unscrew this here. So as you can see, it's currently in downward position facing the NVMe. So I'll use my nail for this. Flick it into the upward position to enable serial mode. And I'm not going to screw it back together, but just to make everything nice and safe, I'm just going to cover or reseat the panel underneath there. Okay, that's that done. All right, so now we've done that, we need to start chopping up some of the DuPont cables and stripping this and fusing them together. So let's do that now. The first thing we're going to do is strip the wires. So what I want you to do is, I forgot to mention in the ingredients list, we need a willing child that likes stripping wires. And so I found one. So there's the wire strippers. So I need you to just strip the end of the cable of the 3.5-inch audio jack.
I don't know whether I'm doing this right because we don't have the same ones at school.
Okay.
Like that, and then you just carry on and it strips off.
Yeah. So you push it down gently.
Just don't want to break it.
I think you'd cut the whole thing off. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah,
No.
at school we just have manual ones and you have to just tug it yourself.
God, that sounds like hard work. Okay, there you go. So
Not really.
that's
If
perfect.
you figure out the right way to do it without snapping the entire thing off.
Oh yeah,
Most
exactly.
people
That's
did.
one of the tricks with
Once you
this.
get the most, like the right angle, then it's fine.
Let's have a look. Nice job, nicely done. Okay, what I need you to do now is if you braid together the copper sheath, which is the shielding around the edge, just twist it together so it's all, one piece. And we can, because that makes it easy to solder. And then if you just wire strip, I don't know if you can see it well on the video, but those, the yellow and the white wire. So if you wire strip off about 1 centimetre off the ends of those, and then twist those together as well, and then we're almost ready to start soldering. Try that. Hopefully it won't cut it off. Sometimes it does if there's too much pressure. Really depends on the settings really. You might have to be a little more gentle. The other way, because these wires are so short, is that you can do it with your teeth. Oh, it worked. Did it? Where is it? Oh, that's perfect. Okay, brilliant. All right. So if you also twist those round as well, but not together, separately. Don't join them together, otherwise it won't work. Yeah, so if you just twist the copper around, it makes it a lot easier to solder. Okay, so now just separate off. We need 3 cables off the DuPont sort of wiring loom, if you like.
I just pull it.
Yeah, just gently. Yeah, exactly. It just peels off. It's dead easy. So just separate off 3 of those ones. Okay, so now cut each of them in half, and then strip the ends of each of one of each. Okay, so we've cut 3 DuPont cables and we've stripped the ends of 3 of them. So what we need to do now is slide on the shrink wrap tubing onto the 3 DuPont cables. Do not make the mistake of soldering them together and then forgetting to put the tube on, because it's like when you wire a plug and then you realise that you actually forgot to put it through all of the plug casing and have to unwire it again. Well, all the way to the end.
Go there.
Yeah, it's just so that it's on there, so that when we solder it, we can slide it into place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so do it for all of them.
I'll get it.
Okay, so now that the shrink wrap tubing is on, I just need you to wire, or just to twist together each of the cables. So I always typically use black for ground. It's a pretty standard colour for ground. So if you connect that one to the outer cabling here, which is the ground here, which is the shielding, if you just twist them together, we'll solder them afterwards, but first we just need to twist them together. And then we'll check with the multimeter whether they are actually working. Because it could be the reason that I threw away whatever was attached to this 3.5-inch cable was because it didn't work at all. So it might be that it doesn't work. So we're going to test it first. Okay, so yeah, just twist all of those together. All right, nice job. So you've twisted those cables together. Hopefully you can kind of see that in a video there. And what we need to do now is test the continuity of these cables just to make sure that everything is wired together and it actually works. So let's switch the multimeter into sound mode just to test the continuity. There we go. And so first of all, if you take one end of, so either end, it doesn't matter which end. So put one end on the very tip here, and just hold it there. Okay, and then if you look at the DuPont cables, you'll see this one I've broken it a little bit actually here. But if you look there, in fact, let's pick a different one. Pick one that's not broken, you can see it better. So if you look at these DuPont cables, you'll see there's an exposed area there. So if you take the other end of the multimeter testing point and point it there, yeah? Just put it on top. Oh, okay, there we go. So we've got, that happens to be the first one that shows continuity. Okay, so then, yeah, move it on to the second part. And then try one of the other ones. We don't know which is which, actually, but there we go. Yeah. You're getting everything right so far. So of course, then move it to the very end of the cable, and then where do you have it? Lost. There we go. Yeah.
It's working.
It's working. It's just a bit loose. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
but it works. One of the things that I just want to point out here is that even though I don't actually know which cable is which, or I don't know what the wiring diagram is here at all. What I do know is that the outer cable here, at least for these 2-pole audio jack cables, the outer cable is always the ground. It's the shielding. So as you'll see here, on the adapter, there's GND, which means ground. So I'm always going to wire that one to ground. And the only other 2 wires that we have are RX for receive and TX for transmit. And it doesn't matter if you get those the wrong way around, it won't work. It doesn't break anything, it just won't work, and we'll switch them over and find that it works. So that's why I'm not looking at any wiring diagrams or anything like that. I really don't need to for this, it's too simple.
Is the soldering iron heated up?
Let's have a look. Yep.
Miss would never let us do that at school.
Oh well. Yeah, just don't tell them that's how I do it. Okay, so there's the solder. If you want to solder all of that together, I know that you are more than capable of doing this, having seen your school project. No, you can't take that off. No, so you solder it first. So fuse the wires together with the solder, and then we slide the shrink wrap over the top of it. So, and then we use the lighter to seal it together. But just what that means is you need to have only a thin layer of solder. Don't make a big bulk, otherwise it won't slide over the top. So if you just solder that on.
Is instructing. Is that good? That one?
Yeah, I think that looks all right.
Oh god, it's all going in my face.
Yeah, the smell of it's really quite something, isn't it? It's not. Yeah.
It's not bad, but
I was going to say it's really quite something, but it's not bad. But it's obviously it's not exactly healthy, but it also doesn't smell great. But it's not bad.
These 2 aren't.
No, they don't need to worry about that part. It's only where they're twisted together that you actually need to solder. The rest of it will be covered by the sheath, anyways. It looks fine to me. Yeah. Oh, good. You've learned really well at school. If you just turn it over now, you need to clean it on the other side.
Oh, I'm just doing this because it's satisfying.
Oh, well, that is what you're supposed to do.
You're supposed to clean it.
Yeah, that's why I put some water on the sponge so that you clean it off. This soldering iron I've had since I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, bought it from Maplin in the UK. An old shop. I'm not even sure they exist anymore. Right. Okay, now we've cleaned the soldering iron. Let's safely take that and put that back like that. Apparently that isn't how you do it at school.
It's not safe.
No, but there we go. That's how I do it. Okay, so the next thing is to take the lighter and, well, first of all, we need to push this shrink wrap over. So if you fold, let's try and zoom in a bit better there. So yeah, exactly. So if you push that down, fold that down, and then slide. That's right. The tube over the top. Do it for all of them. And with that blue and yellow one, if you slide it more over the yellow as well, so that it conceals all of it. And the same for the others as well. Yeah. And then with that one, it might be more tricky with that one because the wires are a little bit more. Oh no, it's perfect. Okay. So then what we need to do is take the lighter, and then have a flame. Yeah. So if you strike the lighter, you've never used a lighter, have you? Good.
No, I have.
Oh, have you?
I've used like the big black one and stuff, and I have used them, but this one's weird.
Okay. So you just have to do it faster, that's all.
I can't do it faster.
Oh, let me show you. Look.
I nearly burnt your hand there.
On what?
With the lighter. I just turned it on.
Oh, did you? You managed to get it working? Okay.
See?
All right. So in that case, you need to light it, but then not burn it. Don't set fire to it, but just hold it. A little bit faster.
Right.
Normally you use your thumb.
I know, but I seem to...
You don't do it that way around. You need to hold it above the flame.
I seem to be better at using my finger.
Okay, fair enough.
It worked last time.
Okay.
I think it's probably good.
Yeah. All right. I'll do the other one then.
Oh.
As well. Is that good?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's so cool. What's it doing?
I think it's the lighter is running out of fuel, perhaps.
Ow, it's hot, it's hot.
Okay, it'll be fine. Okay, so now what we need to do is to connect the ends of these DuPont cables, wires, onto the pins on the Moyina USB to serial adapter. We accidentally, as I was moving it, I stood on this one and broke the end off even more. So I've just put a little bit of sellotape on to keep it all together, and that's fine. So as I said before, I don't know which is RX and which is TX, but I do know that the black in this occasion is the ground, because I've wired it to the grounding on the 3.5-inch audio cable. So we'll start with that one because we know we're going to get that correct. The other two, it's 50-50. So I'm just going to guess that perhaps the blue is transmit and perhaps the white is receive, or RX. Let's just get those in like that. Again, it doesn't matter if I have that those two the wrong way around. It just won't work, but it won't break anything. I'm going to connect the Moyina USB to serial adapter into one of the spare USB ports on my Raspberry Pi. All right, there we go. Let's type in D message. It's been assigned TTY USB 0. I have a script here that has the required settings to open up the serial console, but everything you need, which is just one line in fact, is contained within the installation guide, so you don't need to copy anything off the screen here. So now that we've got the USB to serial adapter plugged into the computer, I now need to connect this here. Before I do that though, I'm just going to turn on the PineBook Pro. Let's hold it for a second or two. It needs a bit of a dust, doesn't it, my PineBook Pro? Okay, so I'm just going to interrupt the boot sequence. I've got access to the console. So I'm going to connect in the 3.5-inch cable, audio jack cable there. Right, if you pan back to this. Alright, so on the Raspberry Pi, I'm going to open up the screen session. Which one was it? SP0 PineBook Pro. And see what happens. Nothing. Alright, so I don't get anything on the screen. That's probably because the RX and TX are switched. So let's just switch those over. Can you come and have a look? Follow me over. Alright, so what we're going to do, if we can kind of reach over here. Here you go, see? So if you, I think that's right anyway. Yeah. Hang on, it's gone weird. Right, so reset. You can see that now, if we look at the PineBook Pro, let's move the, look, see? You got there. Quick. Right. Okay, so here you can see the PineBook Pro. This is the output from the PineBook Pro to its LCD panel, and you can see here that I am accessing the U-boot console. I think it's slightly buggy though. This is the latest version, which is only just fixed. There was a bug where the USB, the keyboard didn't work. It was just inaccessible. So we've just installed the latest version that does work, but it still seems to be a bit buggy. But nonetheless, you can see that here, if I type some keys there, you can see it reflected, but you can also see it here. So on the Raspberry Pi 4, we're now looking at the output that's coming over the UART over this serial cable here into the USB to serial adapter. And that's why, and you will always get a duplicate, at least at this early stage, you'll get a duplicate of what you see here on there. So let's just reset this and watch the Raspberry Pi. Let's type it here actually. Watch it boot. Oh, sorry. Okay. So in a moment, there we go. So you'll see them both coming up there. It looks good so far. I don't see any characters missing out. Okay, there we go. So you can see at the moment the Pine64, the PineBook Pro's screen is blank, but you see the output on the serial. There we go. And now the module, the driver has loaded for the LCD panel, so you then see the panel light up. This is also one of the reasons why I need the serial access to the device, because you only get access to the device locally with the keyboard and monitor at certain points in the boot sequence when the driver support has been loaded for those peripherals, whereas for the serial it's baked in, so it all works straight up. So that's one of the reasons why I do need the serial cable here. But this all looks good to me. I don't see any missing characters like I did using the other cable, so I think it's all fixed, and clearly it's not a problem with the PineBook Pro. It's actually just the this old cable here. Even though it looks perfectly good, I have dismantled it slightly to have a look, but it all looks good to me. So I would advise, if you do want to have a serial adapter for any of your devices, the Moyina one that you'll find linked off of the installation guides, that's probably one of the best ones. It's slightly more expensive, but it is easy to do things like this where you can just connect wires to the pins, whereas the other ones are all, they're all in this molded enclosure. So I think that's us done for this video. It works. There's not much to do here really. It doesn't take too long. And remember to like and subscribe, and you can also donate to the project as well if you find yourself enjoying it. Take care guys, I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.